If you are interested in sewing a PDF pattern, you are in the right place. In this video, we're going to show you some very quick and easy ways to assemble a print-at-home sewing pattern. And if you are asking what is a print-at-home sewing pattern, it is a wonderful invention. So while you can still go and get printed patterns, and you can certainly get printed patterns from us here at Closet Core Patterns, we also offer every one of our patterns in PDFs. And at this point, most indie designers are offering PDF patterns. And I know a lot of people don't love them because they're a little bit more time intensive to put together. But I love a PDF because you can sew something the same night. You don't need to go to a store. You don't need to wait for a pattern to arrive in the mail. You hit purchase, you get it in your cart, you download it, you print it, and by within an hour or two, you can have a fully assembled pattern. Like, amazing. Well, I love technology. Okay, so let's assemble our PDF pattern. Here I've just got a pattern from Closet Core Crew, which is our sewing membership. I think this has about 30 pages, which is actually on the smaller end for PDF patterns. You might actually find that you're assembling up to 60 pages at a time. And if you're like, I can't even, this time for me is like, put on a podcast, put on a TV show, like make this some kind of self-care time where you're like listening to music you love and just kind of get focused on what you're doing. And don't think about it as this like negative chore. Think of it as an opportunity to like, I don't know, watch Friday Night Lights. I don't know what you're watching. There's two methods I'm going to show you. Sometimes I'll see people assembling PDF patterns and they're using scissors to cut everything. And this is where it is an actual nightmare. So what I suggest getting is either a really sturdy, one of those kind of metal rulers. You can use a quilting ruler. You'll need an X-Acto knife. And obviously, anytime we're using an X-Acto knife, we want some kind of safe surface to cut on. So I have a cutting mat here on my table because I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife. And what I want to talk to you first about is making sure that we measure the printing box that should come on the front page of your pattern. Depends on the pattern company, but if you're assembling a print-at-home file like this, like could be called a letter file or a print-at-home file or an A4 file. On that first page, there should be this scaling box that is going to tell you whether or not your printer is printing at the right scale. And we've already kind of covered that earlier in this video. So here I am, I'm just gonna confirm, and I'm printing this before I go and print the entire pattern. I wanna make sure this is to the right scale. And so here I am with my ruler, and I'm just printing from the I'm measuring from the outside of the line. And I can see this box is too small. Instead of being 3 inches like it says, it's only 2 inches and 7/8. And so what this means is if I was to go and print the entire pattern and proceed with it like this, it's going to end up printing just slightly smaller than intended, which might, when you magnify that over the scale of this entire pattern, might end up being a full size. And so you might end up finding that your pattern's too small. It's also possible for this to print too large. So this box ends up printing if you were to measure it, it's bigger than 3 inches, and this means your pattern pieces end up being too big. So it's first, before you do anything, print that first page, measure this, make sure you're printing to scale, and if not, you can take a look at some of the settings we recommend earlier in the video. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is start assembling our rows. Closet Core patterns include a legend, so you can understand how the entire pattern piece is going to come together. And as you can see here, the first page is our legend, the second page is the page that you're looking at now, and the actual pattern pieces don't start until page 3. So I don't really need to worry about attaching 1 and 2. And as you can see, there's 6 pages across, so we're gonna start by attaching 6 sheets across in a row. Now, the first method I wanna teach you is quite simple. You'll need some kind of safe cutting mat like this one. And you just wanna stack 1 or 2 to 3 sheets at a time, however many you can stack and like keep straight. And it's really important that these sheets don't shift as you're doing this. But if you just take a sturdy ruler and you want to cut right down the center of the border line, it's really important that you have a sharp knife for this so that nothing shifts. And now I'm going to straighten these out a little bit. And now I have just prepared 3 sheets at a time. I would then go through the entire stack of these and do the same thing, removing the right side and the left side. So now that we've got these cut, how do we start assembling them? Well, you can either use a stick of school glue or tape, but you're basically just gonna start overlapping these sheets. And Closet Core's got these circles, so it makes it really easy. I'm kind of lining up the borders that I just trimmed across, and I'm matching up that round circle. And then I'm just gonna use a couple of pieces of tape to connect them. And now I'm gonna proceed, because I've trimmed off half, I have these lines that all perfectly match up. And you would proceed to do that for all of the rows, all of the columns, until you have completed the final pattern. The second method I want to show you is a little bit faster. It's a little hack. You can get this kind of going on this pretty quickly, and you don't need an X-Acto knife, you don't need a cutting mat, you don't need a ruler, you don't need any of that. Okay, for the second method, it's very, very simple. All you need is a pair of scissors. Absolutely not the scissors that you're using to cut fabric. These should just be paper-only scissors. And all you need to do, and I'm doing this a couple sheets at a time, is cut on a diagonal across the corner of the sheet. And I'm gonna go all the way around. And again, you just wanna make sure your pages stay nicely stacked on top of each other. Okay, so now that you've got all of these trimmed on a diagonal, you can start assembling them. And I'm gonna show you how fast this goes. So we're just gonna be matching up the corners. And because both corners are exposed, you can see them, and we can do this quite quickly. I almost feel like putting a timer on here so you can see how fast this goes. Here we go. So I'm just kind of using a few pieces of Scotch tape to map these together, particularly when there's kind of blank space around it. I'm not so concerned. But when we have a piece like this is all one piece. I actually want to kind of tape along the length of this so that no matter what size line you cut on, all of those sheets of paper are connected. Same thing here. This whole pattern piece is connected. I might want to put an extra piece of tape here. But again, if the seam line falls on one of these blank areas where it's just going to be waste, you don't need to put so much tape. Okay, so I've got 2 complete rows now, and now I'm just going to glue these rows together using the same method. I'm just going to match up those corners and tape. Okay, I now have 3 rows, and I'm just gonna go through, and anywhere where it feels a little bit loose between sheets and where I think I might need to cut through, I'm gonna put an additional piece of tape. Okay, I'm done. Time? 9 minutes and 32 seconds, and that was making a few mistakes, talking to you about how to do it, and assembling it all at the same time. So I just assembled, I don't know, 25 sheets of paper in under 10 minutes. Is there a world record for this? Should I have won the world record? All of this to say, I don't want to hear any more complaints about how long it takes to put together a PDF pattern. This is the fastest it's ever come together for me. So this is a super cool technique. One little thing I want to talk about is misalignment. Sometimes when you're taping these sheets together, if you weren't super accurate, you'll find that seam lines don't quite match up. Let's see if I have one here. Here you can see just barely the lines are not quite aligned. So when you're just cutting this pattern piece out, you can kind of just smooth out that line. I would say anything bigger than 1/8 of an inch, you might want to go back and realign, but 1/16 of an inch if things are off, it's not that the end of the world. And now you can just really get started on cutting these pattern pieces out. Okay, so you've just assembled your PDF pattern. Now, how are you gonna store it once you've actually cut everything out? I'm gonna show you 3 methods. Method number 1, this is like my old school pattern binder. And whenever I made a digital pattern, oh, you can tell this is the last, I haven't opened it in a while. There's a lot of dust. But I just got those little clear plastic sleeves and I fold up all the pattern pieces. and I store them inside this binder. So that's one option. My current method, what I call my basket of shame, is I roll up the pattern pieces that I've used and I put an elastic on them, and then I write the pattern on the outside so I know what it is, and then I find a shame basket to put all of my patterns in. And this is like kind of a space efficient way, but obviously after a time you are gonna run out of space. You need floor space for this. But this is kind of what I'm doing right now. This is the basket of shame I keep under my desk. Option 3, the professional method. This is what we do in the studio here to keep all of our patterns straight. So we have a giant hole punch that we use to punch holes in each pattern piece, and then we use these pattern hooks. Comme ça, we'll put a link in the description to get these. So if you have empty closet space or you have space in your home for a clothing rack, you can actually hang all of your patterns, and they take, you know, very little space this way, but you do need a little bit of linear square footage to hang them up. All right, that is it for PDF pattern assembly. If you are a beginner looking for more videos, we've got lots of stuff on our YouTube channel. Of course, we also have our Learn to Sew class where we'll actually teach you how to sew clothes if you so desire. But in the meantime, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.